This is our presentation, Rat vs. Frog. This was created by Melissa Granados, Ariana Jimenez, Angelina De Vivo, and Sergio Nava. Taxonomy is classifying living things, and there are 6 levels of classification, and they are kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So the kingdom that a rat belongs to is the Animalia, its phylum is the Chordata, its class is the Mammalia, its order is the Rodentia, the family it belongs in is the Muridae, the genus is Rattus, and the species is the Norvegicus.
Ecological habitats of a rat. Rats can have a variety of habitats. Examples are open lands, trees, basements, houses, forests, and sewers. Abiotic factors can include water, rocks, trash, and temperature. Biotic factors are trees, plants, and grass.
How a rat fits in a food chain / web of the ecosystem. So a rat is a primary consumer in the food chain. So this means that they are down in the food chain so a large variety of animals can eat them. So they are a main food source for many carnivores. And they play an important role in this ecosystem by seed distribution. So this means that they ingest anything containing seeds, and many of the seeds are excreted in rat droppings, helping plants and grass.
Mating patterns and rat behaviors. Rats reach sexual maturity around 3 months. They are able to produce between 6 to 8 liters a year. Each of those liters can range around 6 to 12 babies. The reproductive lifespans of a rat is between 12 to 15 months, and they are fertile about every 3 weeks.
Let's begin with the taxonomic names for frogs. The similarities between rats and frogs are in kingdom and phylum. The kingdom for a frog is Animalia, and the phylum is Chordata. Where they differ is the order, genus, and species. The order for frogs is Amphibia, which then leads to the genus, which is Rana for frogs, and finally the species for frogs is Ferrari.
This specific species of frogs live in aquatic habitat such as streams, lakes, and ponds. Abiotic factors of these include water, rocks, soil, temperature, pH, oxygen content, and any other non-living material. Biotic factors include algae, lily pads, insects, fish, and similarly other kinds of organisms that they would rely on for food.
Next will be how frogs fit into a food chain / web of an ecosystem. Frogs are secondary consumers, unlike rats who are primary consumers. The job of frog is to keep overpopulation of insects and smaller animals under control. Even them at a young age in which they are tadpoles, they help keep the water clean by eating large amounts of algae and maintaining the numbers of algae. Although frogs and rats share a lot of similarities, their mating patterns and behaviors are very different. For example, frogs' fertilization is all external, and the species of frog, their reproduction is aquatic, meaning that they place their fertilized eggs in water until they reach maturity. Fertilization occurs when a female releases her eggs into the water, and then the male releases his sperm to fertilize the eggs.
Digestive system comparison. So this is the rat digestive system, and it mostly consists of all digestive system organs. In comparison to the frog does not have any salivary glands, while the salivary glands in a rat help them swallow and help with digestion. A rat does not have all of its sphincter muscles, but it only has 2 that are present, although the ones on the outside are not mature.
While a frog does have all sphincter muscles, unlike a rat does, they are missing their salivary glands, meaning they cannot produce saliva. But due to this, a frog will use their sticky tongue, which will fold into the back of their throat, but allows it to grasp any prey, such as a fly, that is passing nearby.
A rat excretory system. They include kidneys, ureters, urinator, bladder, and urethra. So they consist of all excretory system organs.
Moving on to the frog's excretory system. The frog contains kidneys, which helps filter the urine and everything in the bloodstream, which then is passed on to the ureters and then goes to the urinary bladder. But unlike rats, they do not contain the urethra. Instead, the urinary bladder has an opening to the cloaca, in which both solid and liquid waste lead through the cloaca.
This is the male rat and the male frog reproductive system. So the one on the left is the male rat reproductive system, and the one on the right is the male frog reproductive system. So the male reproductive organs for rats include the testes, the vas deferens, the prostate, the epididymis, the penis, and a scrotum. However, in the male reproductive organs for a frog, it only consists of the testes and the vas deferens. So this means that they don't have the epididymis, a prostate, or a scrotum, or a penis. And that is the main differences between their reproductive systems.
The female rat reproductive system can include ovaries, uterus, cervix, vagina, but they do not have fallopian tubes. Female rats have all reproductive system organs except fallopian tubes.
Unlike the female rat, female frogs do not have a vagina or cervix and instead rely on an external fertilization. But similarly, both species do not have fallopian tubes. Most of a frog's reproduction will occur externally or outside of the body, where the female frog will lay the eggs and the male will then fertilize it while it is already in the water.
This is the rat respiratory system, and in the rat respiratory system, it has all of its organs. Unlike in a frog respiratory system, it does not have a pharynx and a diaphragm. So the pharynx in a rat helps carry air and fluid down from the nose and mouth, and the diaphragm in a rat respiratory system helps pull air into the lungs. And rats are nasal breathers, so that means that they breathe primarily through their nose.
Moving on to the frog's excretory system. The frog contains kidneys, which helps filter the urine and everything in the bloodstream, which then is passed on to the ureters and then goes to the urinary bladder. But unlike rats, they do not contain the urethra. Instead, the urinary bladder has an opening to the cloaca, in which both solid and liquid waste lead through the cloaca.
A rat circulatory system, they have both pulmonary and systematic. Pulmonary circulation is the circulation of blood between the heart and the lungs. Systematic circulation is the circulation of blood between the heart and the rest of the body, but not the lungs. So the blood flows through the body after leaving the heart. It has 4 chambers. The top 2 chambers are called right and left atrium, and the bottom 2 chambers are known as right and left ventricles. It contains double circulation. The blood flows through the heart twice during one completion. The function of the blood vessel is to transport blood and nutrients throughout the body, and the deoxygenated or oxygen-deprived blood from the entire body is carried by the veins. The oxygenated blood from the lungs is carried to the left atrium by the right and left pulmonary veins. The blood being circulated helps the arteries and the veins. White blood cells are an indispensable part of the body's immune system. Red blood cells help transport oxygen throughout the body.
Next is the frog's circulatory system. The frog has a pulmonary and systematic circulation, like the rat. Heart is protected by the pericardium, 2 receiving chambers, right and left atrium. A spleen that destroys old red blood cells. And instead of having 4 chambers, like the rat does, it instead has a 3-chambered heart.
The rat nervous system. So the rat nervous system consists of the central and peripheral nervous systems. So, the spinal cord passes through the end of the neural canal and vertebral column. This brain of a rat has 5 divisions, and the eyes are built in a vertebrate plan, where lower and upper eyelids are covered with small hairs. And a rat's ear has an external middle and internal part, where the external ear collects the wave sounds, the middle decreases sound, and the internal ear part senses sound changes.
Unlike a rat, a frog closes their eye by pulling their eye back into the socket and using a membrane to cover it horizontally. The ears of a frog are also exposed and visible when you look at the side of their head. The eardrum, which is exposed, is surrounded by a cartilage ring that helps vibrate the eardrum when sound occurs, which will in turn send a signal to the brain.
Conclusion: rats and frogs have multiple key similarities in their anatomical structures. Their main differences are their habitats, their adaptations, and their taxonomy. They both play an important role in the environment.
These are the resources we use to find our information. The end.